easy go. Hello, and today we're gonna talk about a topic, emigration, because we emigrated in 2020, so 2 years ago. Actually, almost no, it's not to the date, but the decision was to the date, because we when we had the lockdown in Germany, we did quit our rental contract and basically booked tickets to fly to North Cyprus with our son. So
we already had booked the tickets, but we come to this point.
Yeah, we're gonna come to that point, because that's a whole different story. But yeah, it's less about where we migrated to.
Yeah.
It's more about why we did it. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Well, the reason why we wanted to leave the country is basically we just did not feel comfortable in Germany anymore. So, and we wanted to move to another country. For a better understanding, is we lived already like during our studies, and we did an internship in the US. So we lived in San Francisco. We had 3 years in France. So we were always really open to live in other countries and we were curious. We loved to learn about different cultures and just, learn more about the world. And yeah. After we lived 3 years in France, coming back to Germany, it felt great for the first year, I think. And then it started to get like really small. Yeah, we just did not feel really comfortable in Germany anymore. So, and then we get an opportunity to visit North Cyprus. And at this time, we said, why not? We had our son had holidays. And I love to make in the holidays, I always try to think what I can do to combine work time and and family time, that because there's obviously another routine than if the son is in school or in nursery, pre-nursery at this time. And we said, well, okay, let's go to North Cyprus and figure out what this is for a country. And this time we were there because of the real estate opportunities.
Yeah.
So I asked my mom, Jan Mark and me, we were on board, and of course our son. So all 4 of us, we flew to North Cyprus and figured out about the country. We had no idea about Cyprus. We were super curious. At this time, Cyprus was not even in our mind to move to. And we were really open. We said, well, okay, if we are going there, we will see if that would be a place we could imagine to live. And there were some, of course, everybody has when they want to do something, they have a checklist, what they have on,
the pro and con list.
Exactly, what has to be there and was not. And there were really good reasons to be in Cyprus. And after 3 days, we made a decision, that's the right country, we want to be here. And one of the reasons is, for example, as well, that we wanted that our son learns English on a really early stage, because we had really problems to learn English. And even though we were in the US for a while, then this was your start with English, and you had to speak English every day because of your job. And for me, I came back to Germany. I had no really, I don't want to say did not have time to practice, but not really the opportunities. And I was not even looking for that. So I started then 5 years ago again with speaking and learning English. And we wanted, and it was really tough for us, because learning a language was not basically our nature. We're really good at numbers, but languages are not really
our strength.
Our highlight and our preferred thing. So we wanted to make this better for our son, and was already looking for an international school. And the schools here, there are British schools, and this was really a big plus. Plus, of course, that we have a lot of sunshine here on this island, and
definitely more than in Germany.
Exactly. And and then we get asked a lot of times, why North Cyprus? Because this is outside of Europe. And I said, exactly, that's the point. It's outside of Europe. And on the other side, we need 20 minutes to the border to be in Europe again, if we want to have it. So this is, and with a European passport, to be honest, it's really easy to travel. for us. So it was not really a
it wasn't difficult.
It wasn't difficult. It was really an easy decision. So we said, well, we feel comfortable here. It's a country with what is not everything is already developed. There's a lot of potential in this country as well. It's a totally different lifestyle. And like in North Cyprus, they speak Turkish. So it's a totally different language as well, and a different culture. And all these things, we just like, well, it's like a bubble here. So you can really live and, enjoy the family time. And at the same time, because we can work remote, we have the time and the possibility to work wherever we want. So the only thing what we need is internet.
Yep.
And this is one of this is sometimes a little bit tricky, but for this we have generators and
so
and make the things happen.
the problem is less the internet; it's more the power. That sometimes you just have power cuts, which on islands happen quite regularly because of the grid and how power grids work. But that is like a total different topic, and it's really boring, to be honest, if you are not a fanatic on how power grids work, because there are some that wrote their PhD on that and they live for how a power grid works and how to make it different. But it's when we're looking back, is the decision that we made there, of course, is a big one, and I jokingly said, it's like, this pro and con list. But decisions have like two things: an immigration or immigration, depending from which side you want to look at it, has both sides of it. One is the very organized one, where you go like, okay, I have a pro list, I have a con list, and then the other thing is what you should be doing, and what we have done is we had the must-haves and then the nice-to-haves. So because it's like,
and the no-goes,
because if like whatever country or wherever you go and visit and it doesn't fulfill the must-haves, or it has some of the no-goes or even one of the no-goes, then it's, for us, it's regardless if it has like the nice-to-haves, because then that is like irrelevant. If I have to live with something I definitely don't want to live with, or I'm missing something like, for example, internet, that like the internet speed, let's say, would be really, really slow here, which it isn't, it's medium kind of thing, then that would have been a no-go. I mean, there are areas here on this island where for us, it's like a no-go to live, because you don't have a reliable internet connection in that part of it. So I think but this is the structural side. And then there is this emotional side where you say, can I see myself living there? And especially because we get asked very often how we could make a decision with our son, like, because it's like, as an individual, if you are single, no responsibilities, then like the only responsibility you have is yourself, and it's pretty easy to migrate. And if you succeed, it's great. If you fail, you change the country. If you don't like it, after 2 weeks, you go somewhere else, whatever. I mean, as a single, that is easy. As a couple, it's still pretty easy, as long as you are kind of on the same page of what you want to have and what you're looking for. You still can like switch really, really fast. If you have a kid, it's different, because if you arrive in an apartment and then you are in an area you don't like, you might make, if it's really critical for you, you might make one move after 2 weeks, after 4 weeks, and say, hey, this is a no-go, we can't do this, we need something else. But if you are then wrong, then you don't change again, because then you have to take into consideration kindergarten and school. And one of the mistakes, an example we made in the beginning, because we simply didn't know, is we were living on one side of a city, and the city here is Kyrenia or Girne, and it's only 30-something thousand officially inhabitants. I think there are quite a lot more, to be honest, that are temporarily coming in, because they are then not registered as an inhabitant, but they come in, they go, they stay a month or so, and the school is on the other side. So we were on one side, the school is on the other side. Now, because it's an island, there's a coast, and behind us some mountains, and geographically seen. So you need to go through the city to get to the school.
Yeah.
And that's something that we would definitely, when we go today to another country, we would check that. We didn't do it because we thought, well, it's not far.
It's like 30 minutes.
It's like, well, it's like 10 kilometers or something like that. So it's like in Germany, that is not a distance. Like 10 kilometers is what you drive like to the supermarket sometimes if you want to go to a specific one. But what we didn't took into consideration is that we always have to go through peak traffic. And then in the morning it was okay because we were a little bit early because we paid that our son comes earlier and can go earlier. So we arrived before the traffic. So it only took like half an hour, 45 minutes round trip. In the evening, that could easily turn to 1.5 hours with total traffic. He might fall asleep in the car, and then we had, like, if you have small kids, you know what I'm talking about, and then you have all the trouble related to it afterwards because there's still shower and dinner, and so it's like all of this. So we didn't check that, and that is definitely something we would do differently today. But nevertheless, when people ask us why how can you do that with a kid, we're like, how can you not? And it's like it's more organization, but it's still, you can do it. Is it easy? Not necessarily.
It's the structure, basically. It's the structure. And to be fair, like what another question that people ask us, how we can make this in like with the lockdown and in Corona times. So the decision was made already like 1.5 years before when we were here. Okay. And this is maybe really important to know, because we just had to wait until it was for our son the right time to change, because he was in the nursery, and it was a switch from nursery to kindergarten. And that was a specific time point. And then we could stretch it as well for 3 months in this case. So, and this is what we did. If we wouldn't have, like, basically we would be, I think even before the first lockdown, we would be here already. But we said, well, we need a little bit more time to organize everything. So let's stretch the 3 months, and then we are going. And we booked the flight ticket already in December, because I had no idea why, but I had the feeling I have to book the tickets now. So I wanted to book the tickets now in December, that just to make sure that everything works fine. And
it was over the Christmas holidays.
It was over the Christmas holidays, and it was for August. So and then we had already we draw, because, like, you know, send what you want to the universe, so make things happen and take action. So we wrote already the cancellation statement for our landlord, and we just put it on the wall that we could see it. And when it was time, like 3 months before, usually in Germany, then you send it. So this is what we did. And the 3 months were just exactly in the first lockdown. So we had the flight booked already. And we asked ourselves, well, are we willing to do that? Like, because we had no idea what's coming in this early stage. We had no idea, like, what Corona is, how we can, like, how everything will develop in this afterwards, and all the things like that. And we said, well, we made this decision. We do it. We do it. And we sent out the cancellation. And 2 days later, our flight was canceled. So you can imagine, like, our feelings, our emotions was not really, like, really high at this point. We got, of course, I would not say we would get scared, but it was like a strange feeling. Of course, like, worst case, we had our family around us. We would have a roof over our head. And we always think, okay, what's the worst case? What's the best case? What happened most likely? And in this case, we did the same. The worst case we could live with. So what we did is just, like, we got this information, and we went online again and booked a new flight. It was 2 days later than before, but we just booked a new flight. And this is what we did. And then there was no way around, because, like, if you have a flight and if you cancel your apartment, you start to move. If you don't put yourself in this situation, that you don't have to change and see what's coming and how everything is developing, then nothing will happen. So you have to put yourself in the shoes or the situation that you have to move. So if I send out the cancellation letter, then obviously I have to make the house, and it was a huge house, so we had to do a lot of things at home that that we can move out. Then I had to start to organize everything that we can move out at this day, because he will look for another tenant. We have definitely to leave this house. And that's another story. If you would take the plane, or if you just rent another apartment in Germany, that's like, and this is, I think, a lot of people like misunderstand this step by step. If you make one decision, doesn't mean that you have to do the full journey directly. You can make decision by decision, step by step. Just because we said, okay, we don't want to live in this house anymore, doesn't mean that we have to take the flight to Cyprus. Okay, we just made a decision step, okay, we are moving out of this house. Worst case, if we don't go to Cyprus, is we have to find a new place short term to find a better place on the long run. That's the first thing. Yeah. So nothing really happens. So always think, if you make this kind of decisions, what's really the worst case? And then when we are here and people ask us why we're not buying something for our own. Well, because we want to be flexible. If we don't like it here, we pack our stuff and we move to another country. What's the problem? There are flights. If I'm flying for a vacation or if I fly out for emigration, that make no difference. Well, the luggage is a little bit hefty, but that's the only thing.
Yeah.
The luggage is a little bit different. But on the other side, there's not really like book a plane ticket, go to another country, and the rest you can always organize. So that's like, you know, always think what's the worst case. And if we don't like it here, and if we want to go back to Germany, well, it was a great adventure. We go back to Germany and then we might be in Germany. It will not be the case, don't worry. We really love it here. And we would love to show you the island as well if you are interested in North Cyprus. So just in case you say, well, North Cyprus, I never heard about that. Definitely a place to look at.
Yeah, and I mean, because you are saying like only the luggage is more, and to be honest, if it comes to worst case, it's not. Yeah. You would just like pack the most important stuff into your into the suitcases that you have, and then you would move, and everything else, well, that would then just go either to trash, or you would sell it, or whatever. Are there then maybe emotional attached things? Maybe that's the case, but usually there's always a solution that can be found in order to like get those things moving. And I think is like a lot of people when they think about, and maybe you are the same, when you think about like emigration or even moving like a bigger distance. I have people I talk to in Germany that I couldn't imagine to move from Cologne to Stuttgart. Yeah. Right. And this is like, it's in the same country, it's the same structure, it's like kind of the same rules. Yes, the culture is a bit different between those parts, but it's not dramatically different. It's still Germans to Germans. It's like when you think about that, don't think about like all the things that could go wrong, because everything can be corrected. It's not the end of the world. It might cause, there's a saying that if you move like 3 times, it's like one, like when your house burns down once. And it's probably true if you think about when you have to buy new furniture and this and that. Yes, that is true, because normally if you buy a table, then you can have that table for 10 years, 20 years. There's no need. The table's usually not going to break, even if you bought a cheap one. Yeah. So if you move every 3 years, of course, every 3 years, you need a new table maybe, or you rent furnished. So I think like there is this impact. But if you think on the other hand about everything that you see, that you experience, isn't that also what life is about, and not that like you save on a kitchen table? Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, and this is like also when we made that decision, we said it's like, okay, like you said, it's best case, worst case, and what's going to happen most likely, and most likely is what actually happened. It wasn't the best case. No. Because there, like what happened with school, and there are a ton of other things that happened that we said like, okay, this is definitely not the best case, but it wasn't the worst case that it didn't work out because we're still here and we're not back. So it's
and we still like it here. So it's
and we
not
still
that,
like it here. So
yeah.
it's somewhere in the middle. And I think this is the thing is you make that decision and then you live with that decision, and then you adjust. Like you have to adjust. There is going to be, especially if you like switch different countries, there is sometimes like a culture shock, what people call a culture, at least in Germany they call it like that. If in English maybe it's different. But there is like a clash because you are used to something and it's like maybe totally different here. It's like for us, for example, as if you say in Germany, I'm there at 11, you are there at 11, maybe at 11:05, but you would call 10 minutes earlier and say, hey, I'm seeing on my navigation system, I'm arriving 5 minutes late, to inform the other person. Here, if they tell you they come at 11, they
Might show up at 1.
it's like if they come at 11:15, they are usually really on time. Then sometimes they show up at 12. Sometimes you text them at 12, where are you? And they are like, yeah, I'm coming next week. So it's like these are things you have to get used to. Otherwise you can't live there because you go crazy.
Yeah, the grass is not always greener on the other side,
No.
you know, like there's just like different things you have to handle. And but the things in Germany for us, what we had to handle was not like, that was not negotiable anymore. Like we didn't want to, like it became basically a no-go. We didn't want to handle this anymore. And we prefer to handle the small things and, well, to organize ourselves a little bit different, but enjoy, you know, a house. We have a pool now, like our son can swim after school whenever he wants. He has different opportunities. He speaks English fluently and German fluently, obviously, and understands Turkish. He has a lot of Russian friends now as well. So when he ends school, like he has already 4 languages, which is a blessing. Like this is a gift we could not give him in Germany. So, and all this like different cultures coming and going, and all the things what they are doing here with children as well.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Of course, they're on the other side, they have more holidays they would have in Germany. So this is the other
at least
thing
the
we
feeling.
have to, yeah, this is maybe the other thing. But you know, he gets older, it gets easier as well. It was a struggle in the beginning, and as well in lockdown we had different rules, of course.
Yeah,
but for us it was like better, like it felt better than it would have in Germany, like what we know so far from our family and friends there. So this is, but it's not that we had not to suffer, it's just like what we had to deal with was okay, like
yeah. And I think when you reach that decision and say I want to go to another country,
yeah,
we definitely recommend to do that. I mean, you heard it, we've been in the US before, we've been in France before, in Grenoble. So I mean, all those things, they enrich you because you learn different things. You find things that you love, you find things that you hate, to be honest. And this is totally okay. You have them probably in your home country as well. As like there is, I don't believe that there is such a thing like a perfect country. You just learn to live with the things you do not like, and you enjoy the things you like and you love. And I think is definitely worth looking at it. Take a trip to that country, start asking questions, start getting connected with locals, but also with expats that are living there, because very often it's a difference if you are local and a citizen, or if you are an expat. It's also a difference if you move to Germany, if you are German or if you are from any other country.
That's correct.
So is that check out those things. I mean, a lot of people, especially here, there are Facebook groups, there are like a lot of things where you can find information on, and not so much on Google, by the way, which is kind of amazing and weird at the same time. So because they organize a lot via social media. And then, but I think it's in every other country, it's the same. If you want to migrate to Germany, it's the same. You can find those expat groups and things like that. So it's like connect there, do I wouldn't say a sightseeing trip, because it's not about seeing the sights, but like let's call it a first-hand experience trip. And then you can find exploration trip. Yeah, would be the right word. And then you find out if you can imagine that. And very often within the first couple of hours, and sometimes for us it took like 2 days or something
3
like
days,
that.
Yeah,
after
the third day we made the decision.
On the third day we made the decision, but we already had a tendency after like 1 or 2 days. So and then you just go with your gut, and then you make the arrangements. For us it took like the process took 1.5 years, so it's not big, but we have heard from people that like came in November and moved in December.
Yeah, 4 weeks.
So within 4 weeks. So I mean, but they don't have a kid. So to be fair, that's what I meant. It's different. So you can make that decision very fast. Then it takes time to implement, depending on your status. If you have a job, if like you need to get your ducks in order, so to say, and then you just do it. And if you don't like it, you just go back.
Yeah. If you like, I totally agree. And I just want to invite you, if you are curious about Cyprus or how we did it, like, you are always welcome to reach out to us. And we share with you our experience, obviously, and of course. So if there are any questions, do you have, like, as well, how we made it? Maybe you're interested in going to San Francisco, or as well Grenoble, or like in France in general, and you need some like just a little bit more information, just let us know. It was already a while, and as you can see, sometimes we can't remember really good, but we still have contacts there, and we can ask and provide you this information you need and you are asking for. So you're more than welcome to contact us. And well, then we see us, I would say, tomorrow with the next topic.
Exactly. Bye, guys.